Testing for memory errors on Ubuntu server is quite easy. However, it can sometimes be hard for you to get to the point where you know that you need to test the memory. And of course, I'm talking about random access memory, or RAM here. Now, the most popular tool for testing RAM is going to be Memtest86, which comes pre-installed with Ubuntu server, but you will have to reboot the server. So I'm going to show you Memtest86Plus first, and then in the following module, I will show you another application for testing RAM where you do not have to reboot the machine. There are some caveats there. That is, some things that you need to know and understand before you use this other program called Memtester. But I would say Memtest86Plus is always preferable. It's a tried and true utility that administrators and others in the information technology field have been using for a long time. It does its job very well, and because it works outside of any operating system, you can use it on any machine, any computer, regardless of what operating system is installed. Now again, I told you Memtest86Plus is going to be installed by default in Ubuntu server, and you can access it through grub. We're going to do that now by issuing sudo reboot. The machine will reboot, and when the grub menu appears, you can see that we can scroll down to memory test, Memtest86Plus. Now, if you have another machine that you would like to test, you can put Memtest86Plus onto a USB thumb drive. You can load it onto a CD. It's a very small application that you can load and boot into from just about any little device that you can connect to a computer. Now, Memtest86 is running. It's going to test all available RAM because, remember, it's running outside of an operating system. If you test system RAM within an operating system, any operating system, the operating system is going to have a lock on some of the memory, and other programs and processes that are running are going to have that memory locked down as well. So the advantage to using Memtest86Plus here is that you do not have to worry about any RAM being left out. You don't have to worry about any system processes or things locking out particular pieces of RAM. So you can test all of your system memory very conveniently. Now you can see here in my VirtualBox machine, I've given it 1 gigabyte of memory, which is not very much, but again, it's a VirtualBox machine. You can let this run as long as you want, as many passes as you want, of course remembering that you're using your RAM. So it's constantly being used, so there's some wear and tear on the RAM. Nevertheless, my protocol, if I'm suspecting RAM errors, is to let it run for about an hour and just come back and check on it. See what it's done. If it's already throwing off errors after an hour, and by the way, guys, I've seen bad RAM throw off. I mean, it can throw off errors within the first minute sometimes. So let it run for about an hour if you want, but go back and check on it. Don't just let Memtest86Plus run overnight unless you're not getting errors. And maybe you've let it run for several hours. You need to go home for the day, assuming that this server is at your workplace and not at your home. Let it run overnight. Come back the next day, 12 hours later, 14 hours later, and see if you have any errors. Now, if you don't have errors after about 12 hours, some people recommend letting it run for a full 24. In my experience, I haven't seen bad RAM not show up within 12 hours. If there's a bad stick of RAM, it's usually going to show up sooner rather than later, especially with Memtest86Plus. So I'd say let that thing run overnight if you need to. But otherwise, if you don't have bad RAM, you're just stressing your RAM for no reason. So anyway, there's a balance there as far as how long you can run this program. You'll see up at the top, it talks about the pass and how far it is on the pass. So it's passing through the RAM multiple times within a test. So you can see it's going to do different tests. It can tell you it's 66% through this test. It's almost 90% through the pass for this test. And you can then see the time that's running over here, 3 minutes and 20-something seconds. So this is how to use Memtest86Plus. You'll see errors over on the column where it says errors, if there are any errors that are throwing off. Okay, let it run for an hour. See what happens. If you don't have any errors after an hour, let it run overnight if you need to. If nothing shows up then, you should start thinking about testing other hardware components. And I would say only as a last resort then you could get some proper functioning RAM to replace and to stick in the machine to see if that resolves the errors. But Memtest86Plus should pick up any errors that exist within your memory sticks.